Snakes have been demonized and feared almost since humans first encountered them. But if you decapitate a snake and then pick up the head, it's fully capable of biting, because the snake's head wasn't attached to its body when it attacked. A former Hutchinson man almost died after he was bitten by the head of a rattlesnake he just decapitated. So in this video, we're gonna tell you about snakes still bite you if its head cut off. The video is gonna be amazing, so make sure you stick till the end. Before starting the video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. A strike is not always preceded by rattling, particularly when the rattlesnake is startled and cornered. They also don't need to be in a full coil before striking. Scott Pfaff, curator of herpetology at Riverbank Zoo and Garden, has a few words of advice for people who find themselves too close for comfort with a snake. The thing to do if you encounter a snake is just leave it alone. Pfaff says, bites usually occur when people get close enough to kill the snake or pick it up. He goes on to explain that it's possible for a snake to be active even if it's dead. If they're dead, their body can still be active for a period of time after that, he says. There's residual electrical energy, for lack of a better word, so it may move. So if you decapitate a snake and then pick up the head, it's fully capable of biting, Pfaff says. If you puncture yourself on one of the snake's veins, then venom can be injected, he says. So how does one know what type of snake does this and how long can a snake stay alive? Pfaff says, it's universal for all reptiles that if the animal is dead, the muscles can still contract for a little while. It truly depends. It can be minutes or hours. Whether you're scared of snakes or you apply a "they won't bother me if I don't bother them" attitude, if you live in Queensland, it's good to know what you should do if you get bitten by a snake. Snakes usually bite defensively rather than actively attacking humans, and in Queensland, it's as common for people to be bitten around the home as it is out in the bush or other wild areas. Rattlers only bite when threatened, so if you see one nearby but don't threaten it, you're likely to be safe. It should mosey along and you can safely go about your day. Of course, sometimes that's not an option. Maybe you've got animals to take care of, or maybe you're in an enclosed space. If you have to kill a rattlesnake, you can shoot it. If you're a good shot, but snakes are small targets, so if you miss, you're likely to spook it, which can make things dangerous. Perhaps the safest way to kill a snake is to sever the head with an axe, a shovel, a garden hoe, or whatever else is sharp, long, and convenient. About 7,000 venomous snake bite trusted source cases are reported every year in the United States. A bite from a venomous snake is rarely deadly. About 6 fatalities are reported every year, but it should always be treated as a medical emergency. Even a bite from a harmless snake can be serious, leading to an allergic reaction or an infection. Venomous snake bites can produce an array of symptoms, including localized pain and swelling, convulsions, nausea, and even paralysis. First aid steps you can take after a snake bite occurs, including cleaning the wound, remaining calm, and immobilizing the affected area. However, it's essential to get a medical facility immediately for emergency treatment. If treated in time, the outlook for recovery is good. If you're unfamiliar with the different types of snakes and unable to distinguish between venomous and non-venomous ones, it can be difficult to know how to respond in the event of a bite. Always treat a snake bite as if it's venomous. There's one incident when Texas local Jennifer Sutcliffe discovered a 4-foot western diamondback rattlesnake nestled among the flowers in her yard. She reacted like most people in her situation would, with a scream. Jennifer's husband Jeremy rushed over and decapitated the snake with a shovel, but when he bent down to pick up its severed head several minutes later, he received a nasty surprise. The head actually turned around and grabbed onto his hand, Jennifer tells Global News' Katie Dangerfield. He had to rip the snake's head off. He got all of the snake's venom in the bite. Sutcliffe said she called 911 and began driving her husband 45 miles to a Corpus Christi hospital. He began having seizures, losing his vision, and bleeding internally, and was airlifted the rest of the way. Sutcliffe said her husband needed 26 doses of anti-venom when a normal patient gets 2 to 4. A normal snake, when they bite you, they can control it, so they'll bite you and release a dose of venom. If they bite you again, they'll release another dose of venom, says Jennifer. A snake head that doesn't have its body can control that, so it dumps all the venom at a time, she says. At one point, Milo had to be put into an induced coma and placed on a ventilator. Jennifer says the only poisonous snake she ever encountered before was a copperhead back when she lived in Kansas. She says now she just hopes her husband's story serves as a warning to others. They say because snakes are cold-blooded, their metabolism is much slower, so they stay alive much longer, even after their head is cut off. We've been told up to 2 hours from their head being cut off, they can still bite you, says Jennifer. She says, despite what happened, she doesn't hate snakes, but with small dogs and an 18-month-old granddaughter, she's learned the best thing to do is call 911. We didn't know anything about snakes. We learned from people that if you're able to step away from it, to call 911 and have someone get rid of the snake safely for you, says Jennifer. Jane and Boyer advise individuals faced with similar reptilian dilemmas to leave the snake alone or call an expert to remove it. Boyer warns against decapitating or otherwise killing a snake, saying it's cruel to the animal and it leaves you with a smaller piece that's venomous to pick up. While the incident made headlines, headless snake attacks man, it's actually been known to happen. Snakes, you see, retain their reflexes for hours after their death, and biting is a reflex mechanism for snakes meant to deliver venom to prey and predators. Think of how a chicken can still be around with its head cut off. Snakes have a similar reflex mechanism, says Dr. Keith Boson, director of the Arizona Poison and Drug Information Center. His office gets about 250 calls a year concerning bites. But when their heads are detached, they aren't able to control how much venom they inject due to diminished brain capacity, obviously. So the creatures instinctively distribute as much as they can, Boner told. Rattlesnake venom takes effect almost immediately, and the bite was brutal for Sutcliffe. Doctors induced him into a coma, where he stayed for 5 days, his wife told. His kidneys failed because of shock. For anyone else, the loss of 2 fingers would be devastating, but Jeremy didn't see it that way. After getting a glimpse of the worst, he was feeling positive. About a month after the bite, his kidneys were working well enough for doctors to take him off dialysis. "I'd trade a couple of fingers for my kidneys coming back," he said. Lying in a hospital bed, slowly recovering, he'd had time to think. "When I first came to and things were all right, I'd cry a lot and think about all the dumb things I'd done. The people I've hurt," Jeremy says. He remembered skipping his kids' events or ignoring Jennifer while he was off working on a neighbor's house. It wasn't that he'd done anything so terrible, just that his new perspective suddenly made every misstep seem like a tragic waste. The experience had changed him. "The things that used to matter don't feel like they matter as much," he says. "My wife and my family seem so much important now." In late June, he was released from the hospital and the couple moved back to their dream home in progress. Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe, and we'll be back soon with another video.